Okay, so let us continue with our discussion with the organizational unit topic. Okay, so we are now on the general tab. Okay, this one contains descriptive information about the account but does not affect the user's account logon, group memberships, rights, or permissions. Fields worth mentioning are display name, email, and then web page. Display name, same as the CN when account is first created. Email can be used to send an email to the user using the default mail application. Web page can contain a URL and allows you to open specified URL by right-clicking the user account. Okay, so yun yung general tab. Unang tab under ng account properties natin. Okay, so yun. So fields, pag sinabi mong fields, yan yung columns kumbaga sa database under the general tab. We have display name, email, and then web page. Okay, so descriptive information. What descriptive? Kasi nandun yung name, email, and then web page. Next, we have the account tab. Okay, contains the information that most affects a user's logon to the domain. User's logon name and user logon name pre-window 2000. Yung nandun sa account tab. Logon hours, so recorded din doon. Logon to, okay, to whom? Anong user yon? Unlock account, okay. Account options, store password using reversible encryption. Smart card is required for interactive logon, and then account is sensitive and cannot be delegated. Account expires. So ito yung mga sa account tabs. The account can expire. User account, we're talking about the user account. There are some options. Okay, the user account can be locked or unlocked. There is a log on to another or to the user or to another user. Log on hours, saka yung user log on. Next, with the account tab, we have yung setting log on hours, administration, and log on hours for salesperson 1. This is under Windows Server 2012 R2. Next to the account tab and general tab, we have the profile tab. Used to specify the location of files that make up a user's profile, a logon script, and the location of a home folder. So sa profile tab, makikita natin yung profile path, logon script, local path, and then connect. Profile path used to specify the paths to a user's profile. Pag sinabi mong path, ito yung directory. For example, what is the directory? Ito na lang. Close ko to. What is the directory of this program? SketchUp 8. So, you can find the path through clicking yung open file location or sa properties. Sa properties, nakalagay po yung yung target ito yung directory or yung path. Okay, yes. Ayan. Okay, location, see user's public description. So yan yung kanyang path. Okay, going back, logon script used to specify script that runs when the user logs on. Okay, kumbaga bago mag-logon ano ba yung code na ira-run before siya mag-log on. Local path used to specify the paths or the path to a user's home folder. So ano ba yung home folder ng user? Drive D ba? Drive C? Tapos kung merong folder pa inside. In our 2008 video, nandun yun sa sa drive D, then students. Okay, then we have connect is to map a drive data to a network share. That's the user home folder. Okay, so we have general tab, we have the account tab, and then now the profile tab. Next, we have the member of tab. Okay, These groups the user belongs to. So, dito natin makikita kung anong group yung user sa member of tab. Can be used to change group memberships. Okay? So, yung ability. No? Can change the group membership. The set primary group button is needed only when a user is logging onto a Mac OS, Unix, or Linux client computer. So, you set primary group pagka other than Windows yung kanyang operating system like a Mac OS, Unix, or Linux. Next, as we're done with those tabs. So, again, we have yung General tab, we have the Account tab, Profile tab, and Member tab. Next, we have Managing Group Accounts. Okay? Active Directory Group objects are the main security principal administrators used to grant rights and permissions to users. Groups are easier to manage. Users with similar access requirements to resources can be made members of a group. When a group is created in ADUC, aside from assigning a name, there are two other settings, the group type and the group scope. So dito, sa Active Directory Group, you can change yung group type and group scope. Okay, ito ang dalawa. Next, speaking of group types, okay, there are two group types, security and distribution. So group types, we have security and distribution. So let's go first with distribution group. So distribution group is used to group users together. Okay, pagsama-sama yung users together. Kumbaga kung nasa isang department sila, so the group sila together, ano po? Mainly for sending emails to several people at once with an integrated email application such as Microsoft Exchange. Okay? Can have the following objects as members. So, yung mga members ng distribution group. We have user account objects, contacts, other distribution groups, security groups, and computer objects. Okay? Next to distribution group and their objects, we have security groups. Okay? Security groups are the main AD object administrators used to manage network resource access and grant rights to users. So siya yung main AD o Active Directory object administrator na group, okay? Kesa sa administrator group, yung security group. Okay? Can contain the same type of objects as distribution group. So, si security group pwede magkaroon ng user accounts, contacts, other distribution group, security groups, and computer group. Object pala ng object. If a contact is part of the security group that is assigned permissions or resource, the contact does not make use of the permissions because the contact is not a security principal. Okay, so ang hindi lang kasama rito is yung contact sa security group. Okay? But admin group, meron siyang contact. Converting group type. So, if from admin to security or security to admin, group type can be changed from security to distribution and vice versa. Only security groups can be added to a DACL. If a security group is converted to a distribution group, the entry will remain in a DACL, but it has no effect on access to the resource. Converting group type is not commonly done. Usually, a distribution group is converted to a security group. So, dito, sa pagka-convert ng from admin group to security group or security group to admin group, hindi daw madalas ginagawa. No? Medyo madalas lang daw is distribution group to security group. Yan. Pero madalang yung conversion. Next, we have group scope. Okay. A group scope determines the reach of a group's application in a domain or a forest. 3 group scope options are possible in a Windows Server 2008 forest. Ano yun? We have domain, local, global, and universal. A fourth scope called local applies only to groups created in some database of a member computer or standalone computer. Okay? So, yan yung fourth scope, local, called local, group scope. Domain local, global, and universal. Next. So, we have a table here, or this. So, check nyo lang, for domain local, global, and universal. Possible members, okay, can be a member of, and permission and rights assignments. Next, domain local groups. Domain local group is the main security principle recommended for assigning rights and permissions to domain resources. In a single domain environment or when users from only one domain are assigned access to resource, use AGDLP. AGDLP stands for accounts are made members of. So yun yung A. Global groups which are made members of. So yung G for global groups. Domain local groups, DL, which are assigned permissions to resources. Yung P is for permission. That's for domain local groups. Okay? Next. How about global groups? A global group is used mainly to group users from the same domain with similar access or right requirements. Considered global because it can be made a member of a domain local group in any domain in the forest or trusted domains in other forests. A common use in creating a global group for each department, location, or both. In a single domain environment, global groups are added to domain local groups for assigning resource permission. So we have yung domain local groups and then we have global groups. Next. Okay, this is some illustration regarding global groups. Next. So next to global groups, next to local domain groups is universal groups. A universal group can contain users from any domain in the forest and be assigned permission to resources in any domain in the forest. Universal groups can be a member of other universal groups or domain local groups from any domain in the forest. Universal groups membership information is stored only on global catalog servers. So, yung universal groups, pwede siyang maging member ng universal group din or ng domain local groups. In other words, hindi siya pwede sa global group. But, yung kanyang membership information is stored saan? Sa global catalog servers. Okay? Next, continuation, universal groups. Universal group membership caching is a feature enabled on a domain controller that causes it to keep a local copy of universal group membership after querying a global catalog server. So yung yung membership ng universal group pwede mag-keep ng local copy sa universal group membership or sa global catalog server. Okay, next, universal group membership changes require replication to all global catalog servers and plan your AD group design carefully so that changes to universal groups does not happen often. So we have domain local group, then we have global groups, and then we have yung universal groups. Okay. Next, local groups. How about local groups? A local group is created in the local SAM database on a member server or workstation or a standalone computer. When a computer joins a domain, Windows changes the membership of two local groups automatically. So, ano yung two local groups na yun? We have administrators and users. Administrators are domain admins. Global group is made a member. Yung users naman, domain users. Global group is made a member. Local groups can have the following account types as members. So, ano yung mga account types na yun? Local user accounts. And then, domain user accounts and computer accounts from any domain in the forest. Third, domain local groups from the same domain. And fourth, global or universal group from any domain in the forest. So we have global group, local group, okay, and then we have now nesting group. Nesting group, making a group a member of another group. So this is yung mula sa isang group, gagawa ulit ng panibagong group. So kaya tinawag nesting, parang yung salamin, ang nasa salamin ay tao rin nagsasalamin. From where, sa tao nagsasalamin na yun, ang tinitingnan din ay tao nagsasalamin. So, we call that nesting. Parang parang anak-anak. Second, usually group to group users who have similar roles, similar, so parehas lang, but work in different departments. Okay? The complexity of tracking and troubleshooting permission increases as the number of levels of nested groups increases. Usually, one level of nesting groups of the same type is enough. Next tayo, we have Super All G, Super Marketing G, Super Engineering G, Super Ops G. So, ito yung nesting global groups example or picture. Ano po? Next, we have the default group in the Windows domain. So, again, we have yung domain local group, then we have yung global group, then we have the universal group, and then we have the local group. Now we have the default group in a Windows domain. So let's see this. Built-in folder, domain local groups. Paano ba yung built-in folder na yan? Are domain local groups used for assigning rights and permission in the local domain. Then we have users folder, combination of domain local, global, and in the forest root domain, universal scope. User accounts are generally added to global and universal groups in this folder for assigning permissions and rights in the domain and forecast and forest pala. Special identity groups can be assigned permission by adding them to resources DACL. Membership is controlled dynamically by Windows and cannot be changed manually. Ayan. So we have sa default group, built-in folder, user folder, special identity groups. Next, working with computer accounts. So let us go now for computer accounts. Computer accounts are created in Active Directory when a client computer becomes a member of a domain. And a computer account is a security principal with an SID or SSID and a password that must authenticate to the domain. Advantages of having users log on to computers that are domain members: single sign-on, active directory search, group policies, remote management. Computer accounts. So, creating computer accounts are created in 82 ways. A user changes the computer membership from workgroup to domain in the system properties dialog box. So, from workgroup to domain. An administrator creates the account manually in Active Directory. So, yun yung creating computer accounts. Ano? Yung isa, bilang admin, creates account manually by using yung Active Directory. And a user changes the computer membership from workgroup to domain. Okay. Yan yung example, computer name, tapos mag-start siya. No? Ito yung user group. So, ang default is domain admins. Next. Okay, so we have here changing the default computer account location. The computer's folder can't have a group policy linked to it. You should move computer accounts to an organization unit you have created. Change the default location by using the redir cmp.exe or command line program. Example of this: to change the location for computer accounts to the member computers OU in the CSM tech.local domain type. Read their CMP, OU equals to member computers, DC equals to local. Okay, joining a domain. On the computer joining the domain, go to the computer name tab in the system properties dialog box. Click change, then click the domain option button. Type the name of the domain you want to join. You'll be prompted for credentials and the computer will start. If the computer account does not already exist, it's created automatically as long as a domain user's account has the right to add workstations to the domain, joining a domain. And then, managing computer accounts, it may be necessary to reset computer account. If the computer account has become unsynchronized with the domain controller, to reset, so right-click the computer object in ADUC and click Reset Account. Computer will leave the domain and then join again. Administrators might also want to run the computer management MMC remotely along computer management. Right-click the computer object and then click Manage. Disabling computer accounts. When a computer leaves the domain, its computer account is disabled automatically. You might need to disable a computer account manually if the computer won't be in contact with the domain controller for an extended period. Okay, to disable computer accounts, Right-click the computer object in ADUC and choose Disable from the shortcut menu. Next, summary for organizational unit. OUs can be designed to mirror company's organizational chart. OU or organization unit permissions and permission inheritance work much the same way as they do in the file system. User accounts provide a way for users to authenticate to the network and contain user information that can be used in a company directory. ADUC and ADAC are GUI tools for creating and maintaining user accounts. User templates facilitate creating users who have some attributes in common, such as group membership. This lesson covers the user account properties in the general account profile and member of types. Groups are the main security principle used to grant rights and permission. There are three group scopes in AD or Active Directory: domain, local, global, and universal. Computers that are domain members have computer accounts in Active Directory. Computer accounts are created automatically when a computer joins a domain or manually by an administrator. So, yan yung ano natin, the power lesson in slide player or PowerPoint. Now, we will go to the video for organizational unit. Okay? So, let me check that by going to YouTube, to my channel. Sana nandoon. Kung wala, sa Google Drive na lang natin tingnan. Okay? So, let's go to my channel first. Okay, let's check the double check. Okay. So, hanapin ko lang yung video. So, videos tayo. Here, I'm looking for organizational unit. Okay, medyo maraming yung videos. Pag wala, sa drive lang. Okay, this is the Active Directory solution. This is the part of Active Directory solution. So, wala na rito. Ito yung B sa DNS. Okay, wala pa yung DHCP. So, ibig sabihin, wala pa yung sa organizational unit.
Yan po yung sa kanina yung in-screenshot mo na 11 ABM.
Bakit pa?
Paano po si Josh Ian?
Sino po?
Josh Ian Herrero.
Bakit po?
Hindi po sa enroll, pasabi po. Patawag pa mention nga po.
Ha?
Patawag po si Herrero.
Pa-mention.
Oo.
Na mag-chat sa inyo po.
Hindi. I-call niyo po. Kasi may, hindi ka po sa enroll.
Sige po. Iano ko lang po, mama.
Kasi po yun, ang tagal-tagal namin hinahanap yun, sir. Hindi siya nakikipag-open. Pati si Sir Tan.
Erebe?
Oo.
Erebe. Wala po.
Makita sa screenshot eh.
Erebe, ma'am?
Oo. Just
sige po.
Makita ko lang sa screenshot mo.
Teka lang class. I-stop ko yung siguro upload ko na lang yung video regarding dun sa sa unit po. Okay?